Joining me now is the Managing Director of Clevertouch Marketing. It's Adam Sharp. Adam, thanks for joining us today.
No problem at all. Nice to be here.
Could you start off perhaps by telling us a little bit about Clevertouch Marketing?
Yeah, sure. We're a bunch of primarily B2B marketeers that have decided to break away, if you like, and form an agency, for want of a better word, really to help organizations focus on the workflow and integrate technology into their organizations, because too long marketing's been about art, and really people running organizations now want predictable revenue and they want predictability out of their marketing, and so that's where we help.
Now, how do you ensure that you have a fully integrated marketing approach to your work?
Well, a lot of it is really joining up the dots. So, when I started at IBM, marketing was really easy. It was outbound and offline. Now you've got to integrate the outbound, the offline with the online and so forth. And so there's an increasing number of communication channels now that marketers have to integrate. And that word integrate is easier said than done. You know, life's much easier in PowerPoint. The reality is that most organizations, particularly B2B, where they're focused on lead generation, or B2C, where high value and they want that customer for extended life, they have to really drive the business. And what actually happens is most organizations are run ad hoc with spreadsheets and Outlook. And what we're about is integrating all communication tools into the same platform. And so marketing is actually having a strategic framework rather than lots of comms channel that they're all trying to juggle. Let's say the biggest irony I see is that marketers went into marketing to be creative, but they haven't got time to be innovative. You can see that by the number of iPad promotions here today.
Do the same principles apply to companies large and small?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do a lot of work with tech-based companies and organizations in B2B. It's all about revenue predictability and really taking that customer through the buying process and making it as linear as possible. And marketing's changed. It's no longer outbound and talking at people. It's about listening, engaging, and really it's about compelling content and educating people, not selling to them. Same wherever you are, B2B or B2C, because people always have choice.
When you talk about revenue predictability, what precisely do you mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really about the return on marketing investment, and a lot of marketeers can't actually put their hand on the ROI and the return where they spend. And by being able to track the single source or the first source of an opportunity and the speed they move through the pipeline, the funnel, the velocity, and the amount, and how much can be attributed to marketing, will actually keep marketeers in their jobs, because they'll be able to predict and forecast future revenue. As someone running a business, revenue is the hardest thing to manage. Costs are easy.
Is it your first year at Marketing Week Live, Adam?
It is, yeah, absolutely.
What are your first impressions on arrival?
It's busy and noisy, and there's a lot of energy. The great thing about marketeers is they have an appetite, a capacity for learning. That's one of the reasons why they went into marketing. And so it's really good that marketers come here with an open mind and just check things out. There's loads of new stuff going on.
Now, you're giving a presentation a bit later on, I believe, at 2 o'clock on... Is it centre stage?
Well, I'm not sure it's centre stage, but I've got to find the hall, but it's somewhere, yeah. So what I'm going to be covering today really is frankly what's wrong with marketing and what marketers can go about fixing it or improving it quickly. And it very much is quick wins with the rest of the business. Then I'm going to talk about, the 6 value adds of social media. Again, too many people think we've got to do social media. Well, that's a comms tool. It's not a strategy in its own right. And so I'm going to pick up on that. And then I'll give some practical examples of how some fast-growing companies have integrated the online with the offline and joined social media with email, web, to really drive their business as a true integrated hub.
Are you able to give us an example of a company that's currently doing it particularly well?
Dell, Trend Micro, they've integrated a lot of their technology. And as I say, as a former marketing director, my biggest frustration, frankly, was there was too many people, if you like, with agencies stuck in art gallery mode. I wanted people that could make my life easier and generate more revenue for me as well. And so marketers now have to step back and learn the dull stuff, frankly, to make their life easier. That's the biggest irony, again, that if they focus on workflow and processes and put the stuff in place now, then they'll actually have time to be innovative. So yeah, I'd say Dell are doing it, but even startups as well. There's The company I'm going to be talking about, Steve Wozniak from Apple, the bigger one of the two, Steve's, he's involved in a company called Fusion.io. They're only a few years old. They IPO'd 2 weeks ago, 1.8 billion. They're already integrating their social media into their outbound activities. And again, I'll be talking about that, showcasing that as an example.
Now, you mentioned earlier perhaps that some companies are jumping on the social media bandwagon perhaps a little bit prematurely. How could a company assess internally whether they should or shouldn't be engaging with that as a marketing strategy?
As I say, there's a number of reasons why you want to be doing social media. It could be for testing products, it could be for customer services, it could be competitive analysis, it could be piggybacking on your competitors and driving your own lead generation. So it can be a number of things for a number of organizations. And actually, I think the most important thing is that people start playing with it. There's some great free tools out there, but very quickly you do need a coherent strategy as why you're doing it. Otherwise you just have random acts of energy but not real output.
And how can you ensure that your marketing messages are consistent across all marketing platforms?
I think that's not such an issue as it was a few years ago. You know, the corporate communications in big organizations were a bit like the military police, and they love that power. But I think most organizations now have and most individuals within organizations, you know, the maverick days, again, I think back to IBM where we had the Pink Panther and the wall and everything else. The maverick days have gone now, and most people are pretty switched on in terms of corporate identity and integrity and consistency. Again, the innovations now actually are around the, if you like, the duller stuff of integrating the technology and the workflow.
Okay, so you're saying cover the basics first?
Absolutely.
Adam, thanks very much for your time today. Really interesting talking to you. And if people want to hear more, remind us, you're talking at?
I'm talking at 2 o'clock.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully we'll catch up with you a bit later on today. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks, Adam.